I'm calling a meeting to order. Welcome to the Planning Commission meeting of February 5th, 2026. Isn't it scary to think about that?
Yeah.
Man, time flies. Anyway, welcome you all, and I would like to start the meeting by pledging allegiance to our flag, and if Wendy you'd lead us, that would be great.
Happy to. Hand over heart, ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that.
Of course.
And I think that we probably ought to call the roll tonight, just because we did reorganize at the last meeting, and we have two members of the commission that are not with us tonight. I can tell you that Matt Husseini is actually, I think, in Nashville on a legal case. He is an attorney, and I don't know what the other commissioners'
Where Candace
whereabouts
is.
are.
Yep.
Are we expecting, or did we hear from, do we know about her? Okay. Well, she's our alternate, so there are four members of the commission, and we have a quorum, so we're about to move forward. Is there any need to make any change, or have there been changes to the agenda, or can I have a motion to approve?
So moved?
Second? Is there any opposition? Okay, the agenda will be followed. And any announcements or introductions to be made by the members of the commission? No. Anything from the staff at this point? Great. So we're on to public comment, and this is an opportunity for folks who may want to speak to the commission of Calabasas, but on items that are not on tonight's agenda. You have 3 minutes to speak to the commission if there is anybody who wishes to speak. And I don't think we have any cards, but is there anyone who wishes to put in a card to speak? Okay, there will be no public comments. On the consent calendar, we have item number 1, which is approving the January 15th regular meeting minutes. And I think that's all there is on the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Well, I'd like one change.
Okay.
I would like one change. I don't know if you can hear me.
You like a change, or you?
One change.
There's an error.
It's kind of an error. It's not a major error, but it's on the, let's see. Oh, here it is, on page 2 of 3, now item number 2, second to last line, it should be Commissioner Fosberg moved to nominate Commissioner Washburn as vice chair, and then later, and it's Chair Husseina seconded the motion. He wasn't vice chair at that point. This was not done the way other commissions normally do this. Normally, the chair, she could nominate someone to be the future chair, but then the new chair takes over and then seeks nominations for the vice chair. But instead, as commissioner, which is correct here, she nominated you as vice chair. I'm sorry, and it has to be Chair Husseina seconded the motion, that's all. He wasn't vice chair at that point, he was already chair.
He was already chair.
He was already
That's-
chair.
That's
all.
accurate.
Then we make
That's
that.
accurate.
Correct. We'll strike vice from.
Do you know what I'm saying? You got
Yes.
the commissioner part right, but the other one
Yeah,
should.
So we'll
Yeah.
just strike the word vice and
easy,
move on.
easy
Yes,
enough.
that's
Okay.
all.
Then, hearing only that, are there any other changes or corrections? Then all in
Nope.
favor of approving the consent calendar signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. So we move on. And our next item is a public hearing, and it's file number SPR 2023-007. James Bond, how about that? A request for a site plan review to construct a 1,588 square foot two-story home and a 413 square foot first floor garage and a attached 800 square foot ADU on a vacant lot located at 23656 Astor Trail in the Highlands. And it has the parcel number and everything else. So if there's no objection, I will open the public hearing. John? I'm going to open up a public hearing on item number 2.
Or is there a report?
I'm sorry?
With staff's presentation after opening the public hearing?
Yeah, I'm just saying, well, I guess I'm not opening the public hearing. I'm looking to address the item. Staff will make a report, and we have materials for that.
Correct.
So, Michael, it's yours.
Yeah, I'll hand it over to Joel. He will provide the PowerPoint.
Thank you, Chair Washburn. Let me pull this up here. Okay, good evening, Commissioners. First, I want to mention that this project was noticed to all property owners within 500 feet of the subject site. The notice was also posted on the city website throughout the city at all required locations. Staff has had conversations with several neighbors and heard their concerns regarding drainage, parking, and street accessibility during construction. These have been addressed and are included in the revised plans, the staff report, and conditions. No other comments were received, no written comments, no objections to the project were expressed. So the project site is a vacant lot located in the Highlands along Mulholland Highway here, as you can see in the overhead image. The site is surrounded to the north, south, east, and west by other single-family residences. I'd also like to point out that there is a vacant lot directly above the project site on Clover Trail. And I will hover over that just so you can all see that here. So this parcel right above is also a vacant site. Here are some photos of the site as viewed from the north front of the street and rear of the residence facing towards Astor Trail. That first photo on your left here, this is Astor Trail, this is Astor Trail Road. The second image here, this is towards the rear end of the property looking down towards Astor Trail to the north.
Joel, the first photo is looking eastward, correctly?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
The project was deemed complete on October 16th, 2025, and was subsequently noticed for the November 20th Planning Commission hearing, where staff reports and plans were shared with the planning commissioners. At that November 20th Planning Commission hearing, the commission opened up the public hearing to comments to hear neighbors' concerns about the project and continue the item to a date uncertain so these concerns could be addressed. Over the past few months, the applicant has worked to revise and update the site plan, the grading plans, and the hydrology report that address those concerns raised by both staff and nearby residents. As mentioned, the site is a vacant property. It is comprised of 2 separate tax identification parcels. However, staff has confirmed through review of the title report that the subject property is one legal lot. The parcel, as shown earlier, has sloping topography. So there is a low point at the street here, and as you go up, the hill starts to rise as you go south. There are, I want to point out, existing drainage features on site. So there is a catch basin here that exists on site right now. There is also a drain pipe that will be rerouted that is proposed to be done by the applicant. This currently comes from Clover Trail and basically is the drainage along Clover Trail that basically goes down to that catch basin. And as mentioned again, the applicant is proposing to reroute that pipe, which I will cover in a slide in a little bit late.
Joel, let me just interrupt for a second. Can you give me an idea of what the size of that catch basin is? Either in linear footage or area, or maybe
Looks
capacity?
It looks like it's a couple feet wide.
And we'll hear from the applicant perhaps on that?
Yeah, they could provide more information, but I'm seeing it on a map right now, and it's about 2 feet by 3 feet wide.
Okay, thank you.
So here's the proposed site plan. The proposed residence is 2 stories with 2 balconies, one for the ADU, one for the main residential house. There's a 413 square foot garage that is accessed by a driveway connecting to Astor Trail. There are proposed retaining walls around the sides and rear of the property. There's also landscaped areas and pervious pavers on all sides of the property. The project complies with all development standards, including FAR, height, front, rear, and east setbacks, per state law, the accessory dwelling unit cannot be counted towards the city's FAR requirement. It also, the ADU has reduced rear and side yard setbacks at 5 feet 2 inches and 9 feet 5 inches respectively, also consistent with state law provisions. I wanted to bring up changes from the previous plans to the new revised plans. This is one of them that just appeared here in red. The driveway slope was corrected, so this now is 15%, which matches that of the grading plan. Another revised element added here is there has been a retaining wall added alongside the driveway for safety purposes. Onto the proposed first floor plan, there's a garage, living room, and 2 bedrooms, 413 square feet in size. The first floor of the ADU includes a kitchen and bedroom and is 540 square feet. The second floor includes 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, and dining area, and is 741 square feet. The second floor of the ADU includes a bedroom and bathroom comprised of 260 square feet, and there's also a balcony off that ADU that you can see here. These renderings from the front of the residence show the modern architectural style. There's flat roofs, there's a cool December white and ice gray stucco colors with an ash-colored wood siding element that you can see here. There's also glass guardrails for the balcony and then bronze aluminum clad windows. Here's some proposed elevations. This is from the north and the south, and please ignore the decorative lighting element that is not included in the plans. That was probably just done with the rendering software. Same with the cars, of course. Here is the east and west elevations. You can see the sides here. This is the ADU basically on the side here, and then the west you're looking at the garage. Colors, materials boards, I'll quickly go over this one as I just mentioned those on the renderings. So the ARP reviewed the project initially on August 23rd, 2024. They had questions about the garage orientation. They were concerned with accessibility and safety due to the hill along the street on Astor Trail. On September 27th, 2024, the ARP reviewed the project again, where they complemented the garage design and minimalized the driveway slope and also provided for a safety turnaround radius where vehicles could basically enter Astor Trail facing forward, which I'll cover in a slide shortly. And other than that, the ARP found that the proposed project is compatible with the aesthetics of the surrounding neighborhood and recommended approval to the Planning Commission. Here's the proposed landscape plan. The applicant is proposing to keep 7 trees along the property line that you can see here, my cursor. There's a mix of different trees. There are no oak trees on the site. The new landscaping proposed for the site includes drought-tolerant trees and some drought-tolerant shrubs and ground cover. To aid in stormwater infiltration, 75% of the proposed yard pavement areas will be pervious, as you can see some of these permeable paving walkways that go around the house here. These photos show the street conditions along Astor Trail. As I just mentioned in a slide ago, there is a large sloping hill along the road that's approximately 80 feet away. This was a concern brought up by neighbors that also concerned staff with accessibility to the proposed site. And so I do want to address how this was addressed. So to address concerns about drivers entering and exiting the property, the garage was oriented, as you can see here, so cars can turn around and exit facing towards Astor Trail. This was suggested by Public Works and planning staff. Of course, as there were major concerns brought up with drivers being able to back out their vehicle onto Astor Trail, which would have a definite lack of visibility. So this was done purposely so that way a car can turn around here and face forward, and that way they can see both sides of the street as they exit their property. As mentioned in the staff report for today's hearing, the grading plans were updated to include a freestanding wall, as you can see in orange here, that runs along the driveway for safety purposes. This creates a physical separation between the driveway and adjacent grade. As mentioned in the staff report as well, there may be required a safety railing. Once that gets to building and safety, that's typically something that is addressed. Also included in the grading plan is the existing catch basin that you can see over here in section C of the grading plan. And then in section A of the grading plan, you can see the drainage here that's not, basically staff wanted to confirm that that catch basin and drain were included in these sections of the grading plan to be consistent throughout.
Joel, is the drain a French drain, or is it some other, is there some other evacuating device that takes the drainage catch basin and send it somewhere?
I'll hop in. It's actually the drainage pipe. It's routed throughout the yard around the west side of the structure, and it's actually capturing, there's an existing drainage pipe that is on the property that's being captured in a catch basin and routed around the western part of the property, and then eventually underneath the driveway to the public catch basin.
Which is right across the street, as we saw last night?
The one that goes across the street, that's correct.
So this is the grading and drainage plan. I color-coded this to Vice Chair Washburn to address your question here. So the 10-inch pipes is indicated in red here. This purple catch basin, that is the existing catch basin that you're referring to that is on site right now. And so as you can see here, you can see this red 10-inch pipe here will be rerouted to go to that catch basin as it does now, as there's already a pipe that goes from Clover Trail down to that catch basin on site now. And in that image I showed earlier, that pipe more or less goes kind of right down the middle of the property. So drainage from the roof of the house will be collected through roof drains and be directed to drain lines to this rain garden as shown in blue here. This will capture a majority of the water on site. And as mentioned, Public Works confirmed that the applicant is proposing to reroute that 10-inch pipe that conveys water from the street above. The hydrology report was also updated and reviewed by Public Works to confirm that this catch basin has excess capacity and that runoff to the catch basin on site would only increase 5% during a 50-year, 24-hour rainfall event. Thus, runoff from this project site will not adversely affect downstream properties. It's also important to mention that this parcel, as currently undeveloped, water can sheet flow down that hill directly below to the neighboring properties. Overall, we expect that this drainage plan should actually improve the conditions for downstream properties, as it would slow down some of that water that would typically just sheet flow down. Now you're going to have water kept mostly on this side of the property be directed to that rain garden. Looking at the home size comparison, this information comes from the home comparison table within the technical appendix of the staff report. This looks at homes within the 300-foot radius of the subject site, and this data comes from the LA County Assessor. This data does not include garages. You can see that the proposed project, the residence is 1,588 square feet, and the lot size is 5,023 square feet. There are a mix of 1, 2, and I should mention 3-story residences in the Highlands, as some of these parcels are quite sloping and there's differing topography. And so you do have some homes that do have a basement or so on, or a garage, maybe that's on that first floor with 2 stories above. Here's an example, some photos of some surrounding homes and nearby the area in that radius. Also to mention, there is some architectural variety in the neighborhood, so you do have kind of a mix, Mediterranean, modern, contemporary, and so forth. Listed here are the 6 required findings for a site plan review per section 17.62.020 of the Calabasas Municipal Code. And with that, to staff conclusions, the proposed single-family residence is an allowed use in the rural community zoning district in Calabasas Highlands Overlay Zone. The proposed project conforms to the development standards of the rural community zoning district and Calabasas Highlands Overlay Zone. Homes in the neighborhood range in size from 1,026 square feet to 4,288 square feet, and the proposed home is 1,588 square feet. The ARP recommended approval of the project. And lastly, the project is exempt from SEQA review pursuant to section 15061, the general rule exemption, and section 15303, new construction of the SEQA guidelines. So staff is prepared to assist the commission in developing the findings for approval or denial as required. Thank you. I'm available for any questions.
Are there any questions or requests for additional input?
I'd like to hear from the applicant or whatever speakers you have.
Bob?
Yes, I have some questions for staff. The driveway renovation, that was done because of the safety issue.
That's correct, Commissioner Leo. The driveway orientation was done purposefully, so that way, when the project was initially submitted, there basically would have been a straight driveway going up to a garage, which would have meant that if someone was backing out of their driveway, they'd be backing out with no visibility potentially as they exit the
No, I
property.
understand that. My question is, that's fine for the owner, but what about visitors or delivery people? I don't know if there's anything we can do, but they would have a tendency to back out.
Sure, and the driveway, if you look at, and I'll go back to another slide here. This is a good one. So there is expanded space here, so that way a vehicle could basically be able to turn around. And so there's no limiting factor in that they would have to back out directly. And so that's why this garage was oriented in this manner and not facing directly towards Astor Trail, as that driveway would have to be pretty wide if it was not orientated in such a way. And so this does allow for, as kind of this graphic shows, for someone that is parked potentially to be able to maneuver and face Astor Trail as they get out.
I understand that, and I don't know, as I say, I don't know if there's anything that we can do, but it is a safety issue for visitors and delivery people who will probably try to back out and not think about trying to turn around. I don't know, could any signage be required at the driveway saying you don't go out, make a turn and back, go out front forwards? Is that conceivable, or we just ride with the risk?
I think if you believe that's necessary to make one of the findings to approve the site plan, then that could certainly be considered an
I think
additional
if there is a
condition.
danger, and obviously there was, that's why the driveway was changed, that perhaps signage should be required.
What about, as an alternative, requiring one of those sort of those mirrors that allow for like
Yeah,
wide visibility to be
360
placed?
view, that could work. I don't know, it's a safety issue. But it was raised, the driveway was changed because of the safety concerns. And while that may be great for the owner, it may not be so great for other people who are not aware of that situation. It's a thought.
Commissioner Leah, my recommendation is certainly that has been raised. We're now moving, that's more of a deliberation type discussion, so perhaps we could wait till.
We're just questioning staff
Yeah,
at this point.
yeah.
We're on the reportage.
All right, if I can jump to the water issue. Both the hydrology report and you mentioned they use a 50-year, 1-hour rainfall. Well, all of us here know we've had 2 weeks of rainfall. I think that needs to be considered.
Commissioner Lee, I'd just like to revise that it was a 50-year, 24-hour rainfall event.
I know, but we've experienced 2 weeks constant rainfalls just this year, the end of last year.
Sure, and to address that, so I want to go to the hydrology report. There is excess capacity in that catch basin, and so that was something that was pointed out by the engineer, and I can specifically go to that conclusion
But they
right
only
now.
addressed one day, not continuous days of heavy rain like we had.
We're going to bring up our Public Works Department because they can answer these technical questions.
Hello, Tristan Leger with the Public Works Department. I'm a senior civil engineer. So LA County requires for
I'm sorry, would
development.
you speak into the microphone?
Yes, I apologize. LA County requires for a development of this nature to have a 25-year, 24-hour storm. So the 50-year is actually above and beyond what is typically required. I understand that, you know, the rain events seem to be occurring more frequently, but until that's updated, that's the standard that we would like to rely on.
So are you saying that despite the concerns, because it hasn't been updated, we should ignore it?
I'm saying that it's every 25 years is the standard. So while that means that it's supposed to happen once every 25 years, obviously that's not exactly how it occurs. It can happen more frequently. It's a probability. So until we have definitive evidence that's provided to us and in written legislation, yes, that is what we would rely on.
All right, question for council. Who has the liability if we approve this using a 24-hour rain period, given what we know is reality?
Well, generally, discussions regarding potential exposure to the city should be discussed in closed session, so I'm not in a position to advise on that. I would state that to the extent the city is relying upon the judgment of the hydrologists at the
Who was
Los
hired by
Angeles
the
County.
applicant?
No, the County of Los Angeles has established the standards. So to the extent the city is relying upon that, that's a reasonable basis upon which determinations are made.
All right, so if it should be discussed in closed session, when would that discussion take place?
That would be a determination as to, that would have to be a determination by staff and by a majority of the commission, and it may have to occur at a different meeting. But anyway, discussions regarding potential exposure to the city is something that should not be discussed in open session, so.
So should we delay discussion until we have a closed session?
Well, your question was answered, Bob. Let's continue with this, and when we have our opportunity to make comments after the public hearing, then we can decide on what the next steps might be, and we'll get legal counsel's help in that. Michael, you have anything else?
Yeah, I've got some questions, but
Okay.
I don't know if he finished.
Were you done?
I'm doing.
Yeah.
Oh, for staff. These are just questions for staff.
Yep.
Do you know if the street is going to be changed to a one-way street?
Thank you, Commissioner Harrison. I'll relay that question to Public Works. My understanding is that to get a one-way street approved, there has to be approval through the fire department and other outside agencies. So it's a more complicated matter, and so they can speak to that.
Oh, and the reason why I brought this up is because it came up at the last meeting, and I've been on that street, and it is an extremely dangerous street. And as Commissioner Lee pointed out, pulling out of the driveway on that street is just never going to be safe if you're doing it backwards. But anyway, so how do you change it? Or is there anything in the works to do that?
Yes, hi, I'm Jay Dinkins, Deputy Director of Public Works, and we are still considering the one-way option. The Highlands is a good candidate to do that because it is sort of a grid system. There's couplets that you need for two-way streets, one going this way, one going left, one going right, north and south. And there's different levels that we can do that with. It is a good candidate for all the site distance issues that are up in the Highlands, and we are considering it. like Joel said, with the fire department, we would have to get their approval, which is already a tight situation, as you know.
Would that affect anything we're doing here or
Well, I was
or
gonna say,
not?
let's ask,
Oh.
John, I mean, in order to deal with that, would that be a condition that would be applied to this application? Anyway, if we were to ask for I guess, a conclusion to the research that's being considered for the Highlands, that's not the responsibility of this homeowner or this applicant, but if there is a mitigation essentially for the entire property up there in dealing with that, that might be worthy to consider tonight.
Okay, we would prefer to keep those two independent.
Right.
The proposal that's we're discussing for this property and our one-way street conversions, that would be a separate public works project. I can say that it would be, I think it's safe to say that having that driveway, being able to back out onto a one-way street instead of a two-way, that's, you've just cut your conflicts in half for potential crashes there, right?
But that does require the city basically to work with the people, all the people in the
That's
Highlands,
correct. We would
in
have
order
to
to
get-
deal with the one-way street reconfiguration. So that's not pertinent to this moment, but that's the answer to
Okay.
your
But it
question.
is
All
still
right,
open for
so it
consideration.
is,
That's all I wanted to
it's
say.
being considered. I hope you seriously consider it, because that street has very poor visibility from
Okay. well,
my point, anyway.
That's for discussion.
The next question was about this hydrology. On Exhibit C, page 14, it said 1 cubic foot a second is what the additional amount, I believe, of water that's going to be drained off. And I know that doesn't sound significant, but I don't know what the capacity of the storm drain is. So, I mean, that's just a number. And although I did hear you say something about 5%, I still don't know what the capacity is of the storm drain, how close. And also, I agree with Bob. I mean, a 25-year, 50-year event, let's face it, we're having them like every year. But does the storm drain have the capacity for more than this? How much more than this?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Harrison. So the 50-year runoff discharge to this catch basin is currently 3.37. The excess capacity is 9.65 cubic feet per second.
It's almost
So this is
it's
good.
almost triple.
Right, so this is going to use 1 as opposed, and you said their excess is 9?
So the capacity, the total capacity is 9.65. The 50-year runoff discharge is 3.37
For the whole
for the project site development. So there would be excess capacity of.
Oh, so you've already built in 3.37 is what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, there would be approximately
Okay.
6.3 cubic feet per second of excess
Okay,
capacity,
excellent.
including the
Okay.
development.
Then the next question was on the retaining wall, because you referred to that. And honestly, I can't see any additional retaining wall on the driveway other than what was already there.
Well, you have to
On the-
look at the diagram because it's actually a red line in the packet.
Okay, but I'm looking at the drawings. Where is, on the driveway, I don't see an additional retaining wall on the, where would it be on the driveway? I see the retaining wall to the left of that Mercedes in the park, in the,
That's
yeah, but where is that?
That's the detail. Well,
But I don't know where that is.
so you're asking for an orientation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
On page 17, that's the detail of the wall. But then
But
what
where is
Michael
it
is
on
looking
the-
for is,
Where is it on the overall?
you know, is it in the renderings or the photo renderings that are here?
Yeah, look at page 6.
Sorry, we're having a technical difficulty with the PowerPoint getting that to come back up. It is in the rendering. If we can get it to come back up.
Okay. Well, we have a copy here.
Well, just refer me to what page?
Which
Page
slide
6.
number?
Page 6.
Oh, you're looking at
Oh,
your
here we go.
presentation rather than, okay.
Can you see that on the left-hand side picture?
The one to the left of the Mercedes?
Correct.
That's already there. That was there last time.
That's correct. So that retaining wall was in the renderings. However, that was not on the grading plans or on the site plan.
Okay,
There was
that's
an
what I couldn't
inconsistency
understand.
between the plans.
Because it was already there. But last month's renderings had the same retaining wall. It's
That's
always
correct.
been there?
Yeah,
Okay,
The
okay.
retaining wall was in the renderings, however, we did correct the
So
site
you-
plan and the grading plan to
Okay,
include that
well,
retaining wall.
thank you. And you also said the wood siding, you told me, was upgraded to,
Yes, that is in the staff
Fireproof.
report.
Yes, I saw that. Okay.
The wood siding was changed to a Class A instead of a
Okay.
Class B
All
for
right.
fire safety purposes.
thank you very much.
I don't have any other questions. And at this point, I would open the public hearing if John will tell me that's okay. Is that right?
That is okay.
Okay, so I'm going to open the public hearing, and I have two speaker cards. One's from Marley Temper, I believe, and another is Rich, is it Perilou? The first card in the pile is Marley. You want to speak? If you'd give us your name and your place of residence, that's all you have to tell us, and you have 3 minutes to give us your comments.
Right, my name is Marley Temple. I live in Encino. I own 3 lots that are vacant next to my neighbor here, and it's kind of opposite the applicant. My main concern, like last time, is the street. It's too narrow. It's dangerous. I'm very concerned. I brought it up before that I think it's a good suggestion to make it a one-way street, and I haven't followed up because I was being told I would have to go to all the neighbors and collect signatures, but that's when I then stopped in November because I didn't have the time. I have concerns about the parking in general, especially when there's construction going on. I haven't seen any in the rendering where the concrete truck will park. It's a very narrow street. I'm there weekly. I was there, the FedEx truck comes from one side, and he can't move anywhere when he's especially in front of the regular homes. So it comes to a standstill pretty easily, except they like to park on the lot that I own. I don't have a big problem, but my liability if big truck comes becomes for me too high. The third question I want to make is, there is a hydrant. I know it's in front of the neighboring property that's supposed to be torn down. I don't have the address in my head. That has a retaining wall that is really cracked and leaning in. And I think Public Works, I don't know if you were driving by, but that wall is like this. It has a brand new crack. It is kind of dangerous. If it's something that is Public Works, I don't know. And then there's in front of that retaining wall is a hydrant. Now my question is, because we're getting a new connection with water and everything, can somebody maybe elaborate on if a fire hydrant is being replaced or a new one done, or and also about will they get their own connection in front of their house?
Ms.
Or-
Temper, the reason I called your cards and also the next speaker first is that it's possible that the applicants may be able to, in their presentation,
perfect.
address some of the issues that you
Yeah.
might. And I'm not saying that's totally what's going to happen, but that's
Yeah.
the reason I called you first.
Thank you. That's it, yeah. So
Any-
those were my
anything
three.
else?
No, I think that's it.
Okay.
Because the water is.
Thank you for your time and presence here. And now this is Rich Perilou, is that right?
Yes.
And give us your residence, your name and residence, please.
Yeah, Rich Perilou. I am at the house across the street from the lot, directly across the street.
In
23653, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. First of all, I'm pro-building. This is not here to complain about anything, it's just concerns. So I do want to, I'm interested in hearing from the applicant on the drainage, because that drainage is key, because my house is directly on the other side. And that drainage is key. It actually gets used a lot. It doesn't overflow or anything, so I think we're good there, but it gets used heavily. And that pipe that I want to understand a little bit more about, that goes directly from the drain above in Clover Trail, the street on top, it goes all the way underneath that drain. It's about I have pictures, it was about a 10-inch drain, 12-inch drain, goes through and then it runs into that drain. So it's moving water, it's receiving water from the top of the property, plus it's also receiving water directly into the drain, okay? Then that water goes underneath the street along the side of my property. So my concern there is making sure that that drain is not moved or moved in a very professional manner, so it's going to catch all the water, number one. Number two, a tremendous amount of water goes through. To give you an idea, I thought I would kind of show everybody. This is the water that goes underneath from that drain that goes underneath into my,
Right.
right? It's a lot of water.
But let me ask you, if you'd send that movie to the staff, that would be helpful?
Yeah, yeah. So as long as that's functional, I'm very happy. As long as it's functional after the build, I'm very, I'll be happy with it, okay? As long as the water can still go through there. Because otherwise, if it's not, it's going over the road and it's going directly into my property, okay? So,
Anything else?
yeah, just one other thing. As it relates to the, I guess there's less a problem with building a house, but as it relates to this, there's literally no parking on the street. Literally no parking. We can't even invite people. I mean, we have people, they have to park a block away, okay? There's literally no parking. There's no place to just kind of park your car on the side, okay? That's not the fault of building, but the point is that I'm super concerned about where people will park as they're building the house. I'm not fully up to speed on what's needed to build a house, but I imagine there's a lot of equipment. There would be no way but to block the road, okay? And it's not a piece of property, where you can just drive up onto. It's a high bump. Again, I don't think it's impossible to do anything. I just want to make it very, very clear that I'm up in time.
Please finish.
Very, very clear that it's going to be a tremendous obstacle to just driving through there. People have it's mostly a one-way street, mostly, okay? So I would really hopefully think someone would be taking care of that piece. I don't know how, and I don't care, but taking care of that piece.
Thank you for your comments, and your email is here, so I'm going to be, the staff will have these, and I'm sure they'll be in touch. If you don't get answers to your questions tonight from the applicant or staff or us,
Okay.
We'll be in communication, and you're always welcome to let the staff know. And if you connect with Joel or with our Director of Planning and Development, Michael Klein, that's probably the best thing to do.
No, that's perfect, appreciate it. By the way, they call that hill the Hill of Death. So if it's a one-way, that would be nice.
Thank you very much. All right. I don't have any other cards of public speakers who wish to comment on the development, but at this point, if we don't have any other issues or questions, I'm going to ask the applicant to come up and make their presentation if you wish to do so. If you give us your name and city of residence, that would be helpful.
My name is Essie Dadfar. I'm the applicant for this project. And we have been going through this application process for over 3 years now.
Right.
And we have complied with every request and demand that city has had so far, trying to get this going along. And as far as some of the concerns that the neighbors have, and Rich actually is a good friend of mine, as far as the hydrology, after we make this property, after we build it, with all the requirements that we have to do, I think it's going to be 100% better than it is right now, because right now the water just comes down the empty lot and it goes down onto the street and all over. And I've been there during the heavy rains. So we are going to capture all this water and direct it into the catch basin and everything. So it's going to be a huge improvement. As far as the construction, well, anytime you make construction, I have a few projects right now going in some really small, narrow streets in West Hollywood and everything, but you make it happen. I mean, when you build a building or a house, there is going to be some construction vehicles, there is going to be some traffic. As it happens, right across from this property, actually there is a little shoulder that when I go there to do whatever, to cut the weed or anything, whatever, we can park there, and it's on the side of the road, actually. So that actually helps. I think a lot of the construction vehicles could park there. To the right of the property, as of right now, there is a huge driveway for the house next door, which is vacant, and it's not going to be occupied anytime soon because it needs some improvements and some compliance with the city. So that is going to be, it's going to be difficult. It's always difficult to build, and there's going to be construction, but you can't stop building because of that. So
Let me interrupt here for a second because I have a question of staff in this instance. Most of what you're talking about will be covered in the conditions that you are signing up to,
Right, exactly.
comply with. But if, I lost my train of thought, I'm sorry. If there are direct answers to what you're hearing raised here, if you give us, if you'd make sure that we answer those, and I'll leave the public hearing open in order to make sure if there's a response from the applicant, then we can deal with those, all right? But I'm correct in assuming that we have a lot of conditions on this property, all of which they have agreed to comply with, so anything new tonight will be included in that before we make a recommendation. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us?
no, I would appreciate if we can, finally, after 3 years, we can wrap this up so we can start project.
I remembered
have
my
a-
thought.
Okay.
The question is, we always have a condition on vehicle stacking, and hours of operation as well, and even pumping of, porta potties and all the other stuff. So that's all preconditioned, I would guess, yes?
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair Washburn. We actually did add to that typical condition, since this project in the Highlands had specific concerns brought up by neighbors. I will direct you to condition 14. So there is a requirement that there is a public, there is a traffic management plan that is required to be reviewed and approved by the city engineer. That shows the construction employee parking locations and vehicle staging prior to the commencement of construction. This is a requirement from Public Works as well as an encroachment permit that is typically required as well.
My personal recollection is that there is actually a parking lot when you come up El Cannon or Cannon. It's not all that clear of how that's to be managed by all the other residents that are there, but, if that's part of the traffic management or the construction traffic management plan, as long as that's, clear cut for everybody, that I think will deal with some of the issues we're talking about here. We didn't include that photograph of that spot. That might have been helpful, might yet be useful if there's any further consideration, is to make sure that everybody's aware of where that parking capacity is, in the Highlands. It's always been difficult.
We can definitely have a follow-up conversation with the applicant on that. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's right as you come into the community, and I think there's a community sign right there. And it's been used by many construction crews over the years that were
Right.
building homes on that side of the Highlands.
And that'll be part of your traffic management plan as well, I'm sure.
Correct. And if it's not that area, another lot that will be serving for parking for the construction workers. They're gonna have to show us where they're parking, where they're gonna stage their materials or equipment. And we'll have to review that and sign off on that before they're issued a permit.
Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like, or any of your colleagues wish to
Thank
say?
you, and we would happily comply with all those requirements and requests, whatever needs to be done.
Right,
So I would appreciate that.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I will close the public hearing, since no one else is here to talk, but I will reopen it if there's a conversation that requires feedback there as well. If that's okay with you?
Yes, that's
Okay.
acceptable.
Then, you've heard the presentation, you see the pictures, and you've heard the concerns. What comments do we have, or questions yet?
The ones that I've asked before that are
Well,
still
Wendy,
unanswered.
I passed over you last time, so.
Oh, that's all
Why
right.
don't you do first, and then I'll go to Bob next.
Actually, I don't have any questions. It's pretty clear to me.
Okay, Bob?
I will await legal opinion on the liability before voting. If we vote to approve and there's a problem, is the city on the hook.
Okay. Michael?
Well, I've made some comments before. I mean, I'm not a fan of this style because it doesn't really go with the neighborhood, although it does look good with the office buildings that you pictured in the background, which don't exist, but it does look good with them. Let's see. I'm concerned about the drainage. You said this will improve, which does sound good, but how often will it be inspected? Because I've seen drainage fail. So I think there has to be some sort of condition where there's some kind of periodic inspection to make sure there's no failure. And then I think,
Is there a particular condition that you wanted to make a comment about regarding that? I mean,
well, I think what they're saying about the drainage is fine, but I just know that drainage fails. So there should be an inspection to make sure it's still, everything is still working.
Are you referring to the site drainage for the project or for the public drain in the street?
I guess the public drain to make sure that it's still working.
Okay. We can have our Public Works Department address how often those are inspected and maintained.
Oh, okay. Is there already a period of time where it's inspected?
We typically have our inspectors drive around and take a look at our public drains monthly, roughly
it's
monthly.
not like the county.
What did he say? He said
No,
monthly?
no,
Monthly.
we do a much
it's
more
hard to
thorough
hear.
job, that's the
Okay.
whole point.
All right, thank you. Well, that's good to know. And then the parking issue, I don't want to leave that in the air either. There's no way to park anything in front of this house, any construction equipment. I've been there, and it will block the street. You just can't put like any kind of truck there, and it's a blind street. So there has to be something off-site, just up the block you can park, up the hill, or on-site. And I know, as he said, you can't park on-site, but I think you probably could park something on-site.
Let me just ask.
Can we make a
does the-
condition for that?
Does the traffic management plan take that into account, and will it essentially be like a white glove when the lights go out in an intersection, whatever?
Absolutely, we'll be looking at that issue. That street is so narrow, we agree with you on that. I mean, to park someone to park on a shoulder, you're probably gonna be blocking an emergency vehicle that
Right.
needs to get through, so.
So I just want to make sure that's managed, because I don't believe what I heard. I don't think there's any place to put any kind of construction vehicle or park anything there.
Right.
Because the street is so narrow, and then it's rutted, and it's a dangerous street.
We clarified that in the proposed condition number 14 under construction activities. Underneath the hours of operation, we made it crystal clear that no vehicle involved with that construction shall block the roadway at any time.
Okay, is that enough to mean that they won't park there? They can park on the site, but they shouldn't be parking on the street, or the paper street, because some of it's just a paper street, but not a real street. Do you know what I mean? It's on a map, but it's
Correct.
not there.
We're gonna work with them through the traffic management plan to make sure they're parking in the right areas and they're
Okay.
not blocking the street. And that's gonna be reviewed by our Public Works Department and approved before we issue them a permit.
Okay, because I've been there, and 2 cars cannot pass on that street there. And it's blind on top of it. So you
Yeah,
just can't have somebody
And it's a
parking there.
management issue with all construction projects. Sometimes
Okay,
a
okay.
contractor or sub will show up and not know and park, and then we'll get a call and we'll send someone up there to make sure that they move the car and get out of the way.
All right, so can you put up some no parking signs or something? If you're not going to get around to one-way street for 5 years, can you at least put up no parking signs up and down the street?
What do you guys think?
How long does that take? Is that going to be another, long period of time?
Are you talking about permanent no parking signs?
Permanent,
Okay.
yeah. There should be no parking there.
Yeah, you're correct, and the fire department would agree with you.
So then why don't we have no parking signs there?
We can definitely add that to our list and get that done in the next few months.
Does that become a job of the Public Works Department in the city, or is that something that's a condition on
That's something
an
that we could
applicant?
do in-house with our maintenance crews. So we just need to order the signs, which takes about a month or so. We would need I would go out there and just count how many we would need, and then make sign order, which takes about a month or so, and we'd have our in-house maintenance crew install those.
Okay, but can then you make it a condition of this, that there's
Well-
no parking?
But
On the
are you
street?
proposing that this be a condition
Yes.
on the applicant?
No, a condition that there's no parking on the street.
But that's on, isn't that on the city? That's not on the, that's
Well, yeah,
that's
to
not
be-
on
to
the
be clear,
applicant,
the-
and we're
the-
dealing with the applicant here.
But so if they're
This
going to say they're
development is
going
not
to,
creating that
Well, no,
situation.
I
We
just-
can't connect a condition to this project that it's not, an impact it's not creating.
well, I just heard that they could park a car on the street, and that's not true. So I can't imagine voting for this if they're going to park a car on the street. So if it's going to take you months to get signs up, can we bring this back?
Well, it's, just to be clear, it's going to take the applicant more than months to begin construction. They would still, if approved, they would still have to go through building and safety and grading permits. That will take quite a bit of time. So I'm pretty sure Public Works can get no parking signs installed out there way before any
Oh,
ground
okay.
And
breaks.
we've dealt with
Okay.
this kind of a thing in difficult circumstances like this. We actually specifically direct the Director of Planning and Development to be the final authority to make sure that the issues that you're raising are managed by either an applicant or the agency. It could be
Okay.
fire department, it could be the Public Works Department, there's a bunch of things there. But Michael and his staff can easily make sure that that happens. Not necessarily the way you want it, but it addresses a concern you raise.
Right, as long as it's done before they start building there.
Well, he just said-
That's okay.
He just said
Yeah,
that-
okay.
that's a deal.
All right, that's,
I mean, that's in the record now, because you said it, and
okay.
we
And
asked
he
him,
said-
we asked him to consider it.
Okay, thank you for looking into that. And you said it's a fire department issue anyway. I mean, I
Correct.
just don't know how even,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, but it's also fire, it's, public safety, and it's police and everything else,
that's
sheriff, I mean.
That's true, that's true.
Anyway, what else you got?
No, that's it,
You're done?
yes.
Okay.
Then I'd like to expand and perhaps clarify my concerns on the liability. The hydrology and drainage conditions
Were you
do
talking to
give
the mic,
cover.
please? Bob, talking to the mic, we can't hear you.
The hydrology and drainage conditions do give cover, but for the use of that old but still legal 50-year, 24-hour rule, which I think is insane, given what we've been facing and what we will continue to face.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard that, we double the 50-year, the 25-year county rule to 50 years, number one, and it is a 24-hour storm event that we are measuring or looking to accommodate. And again, there are conditions in here now that the inspector won't, or the department won't sign off on this unless it meets the 50-year, 24-hour storm requirement that is pretty much double what the county does.
Right, but it's not the 50-year, 50-year, it's the 24-hour versus 2 weeks of tremendous rain.
Can I ask, can
Yeah,
I ask a
please.
question here that may or may not clarify things? Is what is being used as the standard, if you will, measuring what occurs during a 50-year storm during a 24-hour period? It's not saying that the rain event will only last 24 hours, but it measures what occurs during a 24-hour period in a 50-year storm. Is that accurate or is it not? Is my question clear?
Hi, my name is Sohail Sheklar. I'm from assistant engineer from Public Works Department. So the hydrology study we went through, our department went through it extensively, and the 50-year is LA County standard. I know we have exceptions. Sometimes we get 1 week of rain, 24 hours, but the feasibility of the design has to be based on some standard, and that standard is the 50-year or 25-year that LA County kind of tells us to focus on. And I also would like to mention that the land that we have right now over there, it's considered the bulk area. Basically, all the drainage that's being washed off with the bulk, which includes the leaves and all the plants that are being washed off, those will this construction will definitely makes the situation better by all the low impact development implementations that they have. And the planter and the is sized efficiently and sized properly to, based on LA County again, to manage the 85th percentile rain. So 85% of the time, if there is a rain, it can handle, and that's the LID basically rule from LA County. And yeah, we don't see any issues on.
Well, but if
technical
I can take your question.
Back on it.
We're not trying to manage a flash flood here, where you get 4 inches of rain in an hour in a 24-hour period in a system that's designed to last for 24 hours in a 50-year class storm. That 50-year class storm is an arbitrary measure that all the meteorologists and all the geologists and hydrologists deal with. But I think that you're onto something, and that is that the standard that we're now making a condition here is a 24-hour rain event, not what might happen in the next 24 hours or in the previous 24 hours, but in that 24-hour period.
What occurs within that
this system
24
is designed
hours.
to handle
Is that correct?
that rush of water.
Yes.
And we also heard earlier that the capacity of the catch basin, and now that there's a rain garden in the plan on top of it all, and there's a bunch of walls that have been they will be built in order to direct the flows as well. I think your answer is that it's
Yeah.
a 24-hour period.
Yeah, that
And
you're
the
measuring.
amount of water that would come in a 50-year storm.
But beyond that, if I'm hearing correctly, all of that aside, what is being proposed here, the system that is being proposed here is going to improve on the existing system.
Right.
It's going to make it better than it was. Is that correct?
Yeah, and Commissioner Fassberg, I wanted to also add something that hasn't been brought up, which is the rain garden. Vice Chair Washburn, you mentioned that a second ago. That does have a volume capacity of 534 gallons. And so something to consider is that there is a rain garden that will be capturing water that otherwise would have gone and sheet flowed down that hill,
Right.
which is now being captured on site. And one thing I wanted to mention, the hydrology report, 200 gallons was the rain garden, what was basically the capacity that would be allowed. And so the applicant has more than doubled that to 534 gallons to include additional capacity to allow for, as Commissioner Lee is talking about, a rainstorm that lasts longer than that period. So they've more than doubled that rain garden capacity.
And just to add a little bit more, don't forget that, and we mentioned in the PowerPoint earlier, that of all the proposed pervious surfaces, so not the building footprint, but everything in the yard that's a pervious, a paved surface is going to be pervious, 75% of that, and that helps to infiltrate the rainwater into the ground to absorb it rather than having it run off. So it's all these different systems working together that provide a post-development condition that's essentially equal, better to the pre-development condition.
Thank you for the question and the clarification. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And
Bob, does
if-
that help at least, make you a little more comfortable with the conditions that are on the project?
Probably, I mean,
Well, if you have questions for John, then ask.
well,
my basic question is, if we approve, does the city have liability if something goes wrong?
it's not going
And
to
you
answer.
said, I understand, you can't discuss it, so what do we do?
This is what I can say, is that, and the city it can rely upon the expertise of individuals such as public works people who have expertise in hydrology, who have provided expert opinion this evening that this project has adequately addressed the drainage issues at the site. And that's something the city can rely upon, and that provides legal protection for the city.
That works for me.
Okay, unless, and there can be further discussion, but I'm prepared to make a motion.
We can
Are
always
we-
discuss the motion too, so please make your motion.
Okay. I move that we approve file number SPR 2023-007 and everything that comes along with it.
And the
Uh,
direct- and direct
excuse me,
staff
just
report.
to-
I don't have to.
Sorry, just to jump in. Procedurally, this is a recommendation for staff to bring back a resolution,
Right.
either for approval or for denial.
Correct.
So your
I-
motion is for approval.
For approval, yeah.
Is there a second? Well, I will second the motion.
I did want to make one comment about,
Please.
again, about the
Motion's on the
runoff.
floor.
I'm not as concerned because I was focusing more on the cubic feet per second, the volume, I guess you call that, I don't know. And I'm satisfied that that's acceptable. The volume overall, the retention in basins, that will be exceeded in some unusual events, but it'll be more exceeded now than it will be with what they're
It's an
putting in.
improvement.
Yes, it's an improvement.
Yeah.
And so there's an improvement as far as retention, and the ability to process, whatever you call that word, is actually adequate. So,
It's flow management,
yes, so the flow.
but you have
it-
debris and you got all this other stuff.
My biggest concern is the parking, but that's going to be addressed, and so I'm okay
Okay.
with this.
Bob, anything else? Okay. Then there's a motion to approve or recommend that a resolution for approval be prepared by staff with all the discussion and condition changes and whatever else, right? So, anything else that you would say?
Nope, just
Let's take a vote.
take a vote.
That's what we'll do. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Bob?
Any, he said
So
aye?
it's unanimous. You have your project approved with all the conditions as you heard. And thank you for all the hard work you put into working with staff to make sure that the neighborhood gets fixed as well as your home. And just beware of that hill. That Astor Trail has been a problem for the whole community of Calabasas as long as I've been here, and that's since 1971. So you're contributing to, I think, the improvement of the circumstances up there. Thank you for all your hard work and patience with the process. If you want this on the record, you have to come up to the microphone. I think just tell him what you told him. That's fine.
No, I just want to add that I appreciate all the hard work that the staff has done, and they've been very cooperative and very patient and helpful in this matter. I know it's time consuming. I know it's never easy. Believe me, I deal with the city of West Hollywood. I have been for the last few years. I'm building an apartment building, and sometimes we have to close Sunset Boulevard for like 10 minutes. And it's not an easy job, but I appreciate your time and all your,
Thanks for all your hard work, and good luck with your project.
thank you.
All right. The agenda is on to the director's report. Michael, what do you have to tell us tonight?
Yes, thank
When's our
you.
next meeting? When's our next meeting?
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about.
Okay.
Our next scheduled meeting is February 19th. We don't presently have a public hearing item for that. However, based on the direction tonight, we can bring that item forward just under consent, and then have a quick meeting and move on. Otherwise, we are looking at a March 5th meeting, and on that meeting, we're going to go over our housing element, which is an update that we have to provide to HCD every year.
What's the deadline for that?
We have to turn in the city's progress report to HCD by the end of April. And the progress report is effectively identifying how many housing units have been constructed and where we stand with regards to our regional housing needs allocation. This typically is reviewed just by council, and then it moves on to HCD. However, because last year we started the process of doing a general plan update to the commission, we wanted to pair that conversation with the housing element update. So that way the commission is just fully informed of what's going on with these different pieces of the general plan. So March 5th, we're looking at doing effectively going over our annual progress report for the housing element, doing the general plan update. And then we have an addition on Prado del Trigo as a potential public hearing item and potentially an update to the ADU ordinance. So that's what we're targeting for March 5th. We could bring this item tonight back as consent on March 5th, or we can hold a very quick meeting on February 19th.
I mean, this isn't going to take long, is it? If we bring
How are
it
your
back,
schedules?
I mean,
It's
it's 2 weeks.
If the applicant is not in a rush.
I mean,
just
it's
carry it
2
over
weeks.
to March
I
5th.
mean, they
Yeah.
have the ability, I'd say, to continue to make progress, but it'll be on their dime, obviously, until the council gets the resolution from us. But it
Well,
doesn't really hold them up, does it?
Technically, they could move forward, but they are moving forward at risk.
I see.
So
Is there anything we can do on February 19th in addition to the resolution? Move some of the housing issues or the general plan issues or Prado del Trigo?
they're not fully completed yet, ready to move forward on February 19th.
But how about housing element and general plan update?
That's what I'm saying. Staff is still working
Okay.
on those. Again, I'm kind of just polling the temperature of the commission. What I'm hearing is February 19th should be canceled. So we'll move forward with canceling February 19th, and this item will come back as a consent item on March 5th. The only caveat there is unless a public hearing item project is deemed complete in the next couple of days, then we would bring February 19th back online, but that's unlikely to happen.
Well, let's move this to the 5th. You okay with that?
Yeah, so we'll
Can-
plan
can-
on that.
Can you all make the 5th,
Yeah, I mean,
Michael?
Then the only other update that I wanted to provide to the commission is that last year, the council adopted a resolution adding the city of Calabasas to a PACE program, and we've been working with our Public Works department because they handle the environmental, we have an environmental manager, and they're working on doing some public outreach. But PACE stands for Property Assessed Clean Energy Improvements, and this is a program that was enacted by the state that allows property owners to finance certain eligible home improvement projects through their property tax assessment. So rather than having to go through the bank or other forms of lending and go through that process, you can actually go through these specific institutions that are approved by the state to offer PACE financing. So things like solar, windows, water, and energy improvements can be financed through specific PACE administrators, and then you pay it back through your property tax rather than through
A mortgage at the
mortgage
bank,
or
yeah.
another form of loan.
Right.
So it's a good program. We're hoping that residents of the city take advantage of it, and we do have information on our website about PACE program, and then with information on how to contact the two administrators for that program.
Sounds good.
Okay. Right.
Anything else?
I don't have anything.
Then,
Bob and I were talking about something that we spoke about before, and so I'm hoping we can bring it back at March 5th or whatever. The discussion of having ARP members attend, or somebody attend from the ARP when we have a scenic corridor issue involved. So we'd like that on an agenda,
well, you would like that on the agenda.
and Bob does, so I think
Yeah,
two people
I
can
would
get it
too.
on an agenda.
We could bring that up as a discussion item. I can follow up with John on that. I mean, it could just be agendized as a verbal discussion with,
Director report thing?
Yeah.
with the
Okay.
commission.
We'd just like to have somebody here for senior corridor projects.
Well, and to that end, has anybody nominated anybody for the ARP? Because we have 2 seats that are vacant.
I checked today with our city clerk. No one else has submitted an application for ARP yet. But as soon as we get several applications in, then we will
Right.
coordinate a review with the 2 subcommittee members.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
No one's arguing with that. We're adjourned. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Dennis.
Thank you all for
Thank you.
watching us tonight.